Hello everyone, this is Money Mom. Welcome to the channel. I took the worst advice in the world. Let's get started and talk about it. And by the way, this advice I took, I thought was going to be really, quote, good for me, but it was the worst thing in the world for me. Okay, I know that we have some folks in the world that love to always be positive, and maybe they don't prepare for things and don't worry about anything coming up, or, they're just live and have fun and enjoy life and don't really think about the future. Then you have your other group of folks that all they do is prepare. So it's almost like they're not even living because they're always thinking about worst case scenarios and being prepared for everything. I understand that there can be downsides to both of those. But let me tell you, I heard this advice, and this woman was telling her daughter, because her daughter was worried about something, and she said, I understand you're worried about this, but what I want you to do is think about the worst case scenario that could happen and come up with the solution for that problem. So I thought, wow, that's such a great idea. I'm going to force myself to think of the worst case scenario for every little problem I have. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Within 2 weeks of doing this, I was having a hard time sleeping, and then I would wake up in the middle of the night sweating. I was having nightmares. When I went to the doctor, my blood pressure was a little bit higher. And I thought, Dawn, you're not solving anything with this. You're thinking about the shoulda, woulda, couldas. Have you guys ever heard this before? We plan, God laughs. Now, don't get me wrong. It is good to be as prepared as we can. For example, am I happy I have some money in savings and I'm debt-free? Yes, I am. But you know what? Sometimes life happens when we are making plans and we're like, wow, I wasn't prepared for this. It could be positive things or negative things. And I want to share with you very briefly what I am doing instead of just trying to think of worst case scenarios that may or may not come up. What I'm doing, and I already created a spreadsheet of things that I really feel I need to take care of. I tend to avoid things that give me a stress factor. I tend to avoid things that have a hassle factor, things that I think could be expensive, things that I think could cause stress, or things that I don't know what may or may not happen. Example, foundation work. I didn't have anybody out to look at that. And the reason why is I was afraid it was going to be $20,000 because one of my friends got quoted $20,000. That would be an example. I may avoid, say, going to the dentist because I'm like, oh no, it's going to be super expensive and they're going to want me to come in every week and I don't have time for that. So you get kind of where I was going with that. Also, my tree work. I didn't want to have the tree taken down because I was afraid I was going to lose a complete day of work because they were going to have to turn off the power for the entire day. So these are just some examples. What I'm doing instead is I'm writing down all the things that I think that I need to be taken care of and kind of rating them, which is more important, which is urgent, which are some things I'd like to do. And what I'm doing is I'm spreading them out over several months and tackling a little bit at a time. So for example, the month of August, we had that huge tree removed. That would be one example. Now, in a couple months, I've got a dentist appointment. That would be another example. So just doing things like that, and this way I can manage things a lot better. But I know when I started thinking about the worst case things that could possibly happen, it just gave me so much stress and so much anxiety, and I started worrying. And I thought, I do so much better if I actually sit down, think about what kind of concerns I may have, maybe do a brain dump and start taking some action steps and handling things little bit by little bit over a period of time. One really good example, many people worry about money. So if someone's worried about money, maybe instead of just being worried and say, oh no, what happens if I lose my job, or what happens if this happens? Say, okay, I understand these scary things can happen. What are some action steps I can do now? I can maybe refurbish some things. I can sell some things. I can create maybe a stockpile. And I've known many people that have done that, where they create a stockpile of food so that if they were to lose a job, they've got a month's supply of food. Maybe set aside some, little bit of extra money in savings. Pick up a side hustle. It could be anything, just little things that you can kind of do to be prepared for anything. I mean, we never know what tomorrow will bring, and all we can do is do our very best. But for me, if I sit there and think about the worst case scenario for all the issues that may come up in my life, I actually feel less prepared rather than actually sitting down and thinking about little improvements I can make along the way and have a timeline in doing it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you ever worry and fret about things? I'd like to hear from you in the comments below. And if so, maybe you have some tools in your toolbox you can share with us on how you handle things when you feel overwhelmed by all the possible responsibilities in the world. I'd like to hear from you in the comments below. This could be a really good dialogue. That's all I have to say for now. I love you, I appreciate you, and I sure hope you come back for tomorrow morning's video. Bye-bye.